Okay, we are live. Are you ready to get nuts, Jennifer?
I'm ready to get nuts, Craig.
Okay. On today's episode of Playing Small is Canceled, we have a very exclusive treat. She's a trailblazing powerhouse, renowned for transforming industries and elevating innovation to new heights. And she has driven monumental change from restoring profitability as CFO at Atari to spearheading groundbreaking initiatives as the SVP of NFL's Player Health and Innovation. No big deal. She's the visionary behind the league's first injury reduction strategy and the revolutionary digital athlete, harnessing AI and machine learning to predict and prevent injuries. Big facts. She's also a sought-after keynote speaker at prestigious events, and she excelled as a Division I lacrosse athlete, which I deeply admire. Please welcome the abundant, inspiring, expansive, and game-changing, authentic Jennifer Langton. How you doing, Jennifer?
Wow, Craig, what an introduction. Thank you very much. I was going to say you're hired, but it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. I know we have some mutual friends who've been trying to connect for a while. I'm so pumped for this conversation, for our community, and wherever we repurpose this, people are going to see it later. Do a deep dive, play catch up. We're just going to dive right in, have an unbelievable conversation. Before we get going, I have a little icebreaker for you. Are you ready for me?
I am.
It's a big question, but a good place to start. How do we redefine what's possible?
How do we redefine what's possible?
Where do we begin, right?
Yeah, through my experience, it's a very good start, is looking inside. Because I have had, and we can get into it, multiple different opportunities in my personal and professional lives, careers, where I performed and I was accelerating and I was thriving. When it was really transformational, it was leading with purpose, which was different. There was something missing, and you can check the box, whether that was, rolling out a huge implementation at Viacom, building their first digital dashboard. Then I went on to Atari, restructure that company, was named CFO at a young age, Craig. It was really when I tied my passion at the NFL to a personal experience that created the change and transformation.
Beautiful. Interesting. And I couldn't agree more when you say when you lead with purpose, it's a different energy, a different consciousness. And I have total contrast from Wall Street days to what I'm doing now. It's just a different type of high every single day when you wake up. Even if you had a long day, you're not really depleted. You just might be tired, but you can't wait to get back at it again, right?
Right. Yeah, it is. It's a different energy. So when I, as you know, I played lacrosse at the University of Virginia. In high school, I was a 4-time All-American. So I was thriving academically and athletically. My first year, I started at the University of Virginia. I was one of the only first year very fortunate to play through the Final Four, really had an impact. So you'd think everything was perfect. And I was accelerating. My second year, I not only lost my mother to cancer, but I also had a career-ending knee injury. So everything that defined me really had just evaporated. And so much later in my career, as I was mentioning, it was pretty unique how I pitched myself through a Langton roadmap, leading with purpose. During the concussion crisis and after business school, I was inspired for change. It was check the box on doing things, but what if I could recreate the youth business strategy league-wide and start health and safety initiatives at the NFL to prevent what happened to me to what I consider the world's elite athletes. And when you tie that personal experience, me having gone through the rehabilitation, firsthand experience to affecting my career, our mutual friend Evan Mark, similar situation at Penn playing lacrosse. When you're sidelined, you go from thriving and being acknowledged and being awarded to sideline. That is transformation for oneself. And so if you can prevent that from happening, which I was in a very unique position, I made my inspiration and my vision the NFL's vision, and I thrived doing it. And I was awarded amazing opportunities, Greg, working there.
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you for sharing that. It's funny because I've had a lot of Hall of Famers, professional athletes on our podcast, and they often say, like, when the career is done, quote unquote, there's like this loss of identity because so much of it was tied into that. And I'm wondering, when that happened to you and you could no longer be on the field, so to speak, kind of a different arena, was that tough for you to navigate to not necessarily identify yourself as just an athlete, but something else, or the transition was a little bit smoother for you?
No, that's an excellent question. Um, you know, I was young in college, and remember, there was a lot that happened in one year. And so I was just thriving to get by. But as you're saying, how I was initially awarded and known, my third year, I remember getting an award, a team award that was like the commitment to team. Historically, I was the All-American. So talk about like having to find myself again. It takes time and it takes years, but apply yourself to new challenges. Use that as an inspiration to thrive in different areas. Just because I wasn't playing sport, there's a lot of values, Craig, that I've gotten from sport. There's a lot of just transformational leadership skills that I've also gotten from loss that I've had, whether my knee or from my mother. And when you can create those as inspiration for another challenge, shine in different ways. And you can do that, but it does take time. I mean, look how many times in my career I did a pivot.
Mhm.
And then it's amazing how I could use purpose and really shine. And I want to be able to share that story. It's how to ask, how to make change, but how to really lead with that purpose. But it does take time. It takes your own continuous learning and your own continuous growth and a lot of confidence. You have to rebuild your confidence.
I love it. And I want to go much deeper on that, but just real quickly off the cuff, you mentioned there were much other values from playing. Just curious, what was maybe a trait that was very pivotal for you that helped you be successful in lacrosse that you also then transferred over to the business world?
Yeah, I think that one of the most important leadership lessons that I transferred over was self-trust, like empowered self-trust. Because when you have an inner confidence and you can play that forward and trust in oneself, it fosters authentic connections and relationships. Not to be too boastful, but let me give you this story. When I was young, it was in Port Washington, Long Island, where I grew up. My father, there was a Port Washington Youth Association's, youth leagues. And my father was asked to help fill the team rosters. And in one year, they had one team that was coincidentally my age group, no female sport for lacrosse. And my father put me on the roster. And at first I tried to fit in like everybody else.
Right.
But then I had to wear the helmet, Craig, the bulky shoulder pads. Like this wasn't me. I was used to soccer, basketball, other sports where they were more co-ed. I was the only girl. So first I tried to fit in, but then I would recognize, and this is how I played it forward in my life and then in my career. I had recognized, wow, if I just play my heart out, I'm just as good or better than them. So it's not identifying to a gender, it's not identifying to an age. But at such a young age, I really learned inner confidence on letting my skill set shine. My dad obviously had the confidence in me. My mother was like, oh my God, she'll get hurt. However, I think that at such a young age, when I was given the opportunity to step outside my box, that is my comfort zone. I I thrived. And then at those moments, you realize I am playing off of my skill set, and that's what finding that confidence and inner trust that you can accelerate. Play that forward. I'm in male dominant rooms with like equipment managers. How do I connect with them? How am I authentic with them? Is the same approach that I used as the only girl on the boys team.
I love it.
So
Yeah.
be authentic with yourself, and really that empowered self, trust is so powerful, especially in transformation, because then others can, they believe in you. You have to believe in yourself, but then they believe in you when they see that within you.
Yeah.
Like she's got game. Like you said, you ready? Like she's got game, but I'm also very kind with my approach, but understand who you are and play that forward with your skills, and you will shine.
Oof, very timely, I might add. There's nothing more powerful than being in your power, your authentic, unique individual gifts that were given to you and sharing those with the world. And when you can shine that and step into that, you don't have to worry so much about everything else. I think one of the things that people struggle with a lot, and I know I have in the past, is being inauthentic. But having the confidence to be you, to share what you bring to the table is very powerful.
Yeah, one of the experiences, I'm Craig, I'm with you. I am so with you. I feel that. I feel that and live that. I'll give you another example. When I took over health and safety, we, with a partner at the NFL who was brilliant, we built that department and unit. And one of the first projects or initiatives that I have was with GE. And we did these big innovation challenges to find the next diagnostic to solve for help, right, to diagnose concussion, whether it was a blood biomarker that would inform different aspects of concussion. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor. And so when I started that collaboration, there is a gentleman, Peter Foss, who worked at GE, and I was so eager to listen and learn. If I listened and learned and devoted my time, then they would trust me. And on trust, it was like I had to connect the world's like elite experts in different areas to help us, right? And keep a very defined mission, vision, and path. And Peter said to me, be you. And at first I didn't understand that because I was like, I am being me, but I was so aggressively trying to learn where I didn't need to know all the answers, right? What I needed to know is that I have an expert ecosystem. They know the answers. And so it helped me to sort of see my strength and what role I was playing. They needed me more than anything as a leader to really shape the work and connect them together because they hadn't otherwise connected other than for this initiative. And when he said, be you, I was like, wow, I went back to him at years. It was like years later. And I was like, I have you to thank. Thank you so much because I didn't understand that, but you don't have to take it all on. Understand your strengths and play forward with your strengths in that environment. And we all collectively did very well. It was a very team approach.
Play forward. I love it. This is so good. So many places we could take this. One of the things that you've done so impressively is innovate. And I was wondering, do you think being able to innovate is a gift or a skill that can be developed?
Both. I do think that, from my earlier days, whether that was playing sports or also with being a CFO in really financial implementations, I learned at a really young age how to integrate, how to work with, when you're doing emerging technologies, Craig, that are going to change that landscape, you have to put human-centered first. Because with technology, so at a young age, it was like I was in this innovative stage, but I was I was the human connector, bringing people together for these transformational projects. So others would say, wow, it comes easy to you, but I put myself in those roles. And so for me, it was somewhat innate because I was always having to think outside the box on how we could change or how we could further developing, listening to experts. But then, of course, over the course of your career, you have use cases. And the breadth of experience that I have, tap into that use cases, that's learned. So you have a use case that is like another example. When I was at Viacom, I had implemented the first, I'm dating myself, I think we're like the same age. I was the pilot for Microsoft's SharePoint portal. That's a glorified dashboards, metrics dashboard, so these executives could manage real time their metrics and the business. So I had done it. The hardest thing to change is behaviors and personalities. And I recognized at that time that my work should be human-centered because you get the adoption. You create and you create change. So I'm explaining this because it was all this power of human focus, build technology with and for the end users and empower them. Now, I started the NFL and in doing that, they were going to send out an RFP. Reebok was on field, Craig, for 10 years. They were going to send out an RFP that was paper-driven. From that experience, I went into the EVP and said, not I, but what if we streamline this process and I built a digital dashboard like I did at Viacom, and we automated the bid process and the reporting. So intuitively, I was always a change agent, and I love emerging technologies and innovation on how they can benefit efficiencies, operations, growth, profitability. But use case after use case, when you build your knowledge and experience, you've also play that forward. So it's, again, a very good question, but I think that you can have innate skills that are very strong. You can also have innate skills that you're learning those use cases from that build that.
Yeah, so good. It's so funny because you mentioned there the human touch, fostering human connection, which is what you're great at, but you're also really known for digital revolution, AI, and all this stuff, not necessarily human. How do you connect those? How do you bridge the gap? What are you most jazzed about right now with AI and all that that has to offer as well?
Yeah. Well, after 15 years, I left the NFL to go off on my own on a new venture in consulting and speaking.
Congratulations, that's a
Thank
move.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In the year that I left, the NFL had the lowest concussions in history on record.
Amazing.
The innovation that we built, and this is what excites me, I'll still take it, was a team approach. We had the best in class, brilliant minds on this expert ecosystem, biomechanical engineers, data engineers, data scientists, those at the team, the athlete management systems, your strength and conditioning coach, your trainers, etc. Why I explain this is when we built the digital athlete would predict and prevent injuries. So whether we have so much data, I still say we have so much data from training, practice, and game that when you can standardize and synchronize that data, even with video, the power of what you can give back to the teams that they don't have to bench one running back across all running backs is extremely powerful. However, if you don't build it with the one that is going to be hands-on with the player to train and educate them on risks of injury and or tackling techniques that are leading to more injuries and or pivots or moves that are leading to more injuries, if they're not adopting it, you will not be successful. And so one of the most important things, and it's very much my leadership, is authentic connections and building technologies similar to financial implementations. You have to build it with and for the end user so it empowers them. It empowers them, not replaces them. You'll see in headlines today, will AI replace some levels of business, right? It will replace more of the transaction, but it then increases and empowers humans to take on different roles, leveraging the data, not creating it, right? And so why should we have to worry about what systems can do when I do feel, and this is like, we empowered our teams. So every day when we had rolled out this digital athlete platform to the 32 teams, Craig, every day the teams would get a listing of their 5 to 10 players from loads and exertion data that were at higher risk of injury, give it an injury profile. That makes your athletic training team more smarter and more efficient for information they hadn't had.
So crazy.
That way. And these are the most elite trainers and people. It empowers them.
Yeah.
And so when we had built, again, like financial system, when we started to build this digital athlete, we built the expert ecosystem, right, with the experts needed to design what we were going to do. And we'd always pilot with teams. What do you currently have in your athlete management systems? And what can we provide you that you don't have? And when you compare those and build for the humans to empower them, that's transformation.
So cool. First of all, it's almost like this state of the art, like life insurance plan, but for what I'm just, I don't know if I'm supposed to ask this, but like you put together such an unbelievable revolutionary approach to keep like players from getting more injured and so forth. And it obviously worked. Is there ever a concern from higher ups that by doing this and keeping players safer, that it might take away from some of the action of the game? I know it's kind of a deep question.
No, it's not. Look, I'm not on the medical side, and there's a few things, there's a few ways to answer that. If you would much rather your players, the first answer would be the teams that make it into postseason have the lowest number of injuries.
So true.
So that doesn't necessarily mean the game's not exciting. Mm-hmm. It's keeping a healthy roster and managing your athletes. And so if you take a look at the ROI then on that investment, when you have more insightful data so you can better manage your athletes, then the players, the teams, and the higher ups are rewarded. You're getting better excellence, right? And me as an athlete, I'd much rather be in the game than on the sideline.
Of course.
So think about your quarterback, your lead players, being able to prevent and then predict injuries is essential for just your human performance of your team. And those that do make it to the postseason and the Super Bowl have the lowest rates of injuries. You need a healthy roster for success.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not losing excitement. I do think that some may say that because of the rules that we put into place, or the NFL's competition committee put into place to mitigate those impacts, some fans would want to see. However, I would hope that if they knew that those impacts were not even causing injury to oneself, meaning the player and their opponents, they would hopefully understand that, so they had more longevity to that player and to their team.
I love it.
Because everything that we did was science-based. I mean, the NFL is not only an excellence in sports and entertainment. When we started health and safety, the mission was to become the leader in better understanding, researching, and preventing injury. And that, with that mission, that's what we had done, which is pretty unique, Craig, for a sports organization.
For sure. Look at the Super Bowl champs this year. Saquon, someone that's, historically been injured, but this year very safe, very healthy, won the Super Bowl. He crushed it. Just probably one example of many that the game is becoming safer, and which leads to greater ROI, big picture.
So are you a Giants fan?
Sadly, I'm a Jets fan.
Oh, that's not sad. Well, at the beginning of the season, every 32 has a chance, Craig.
You know what? I love to be optimistic. It's a way to live my life, but I've never experienced a championship with them yet.
Yeah, no, but Saquon is he's tremendous athlete, but he's had a journey. And, I think that that's a testament to him and the perseverance to get to where he was and play it forward. I mean, he deserved certainly that honor at Super Bowl.
100%. Yeah. You're one of the most profound speakers out there right now. I know that you're wearing a lot of different hats. What are you most jazzed about right now? What has you most pumped right now?
Thank you for asking that. I do think, with doing speaking engagements, again, it's like my leadership style on how I've been able to make transformation for oneself, Craig, but also for organizations. I love to be able to share that playbook forward and inspire and help others, especially women. So I do a lot of speaking engagements for women. When you're speaking and you're on the stage and doing that on your own, it's like playing sports again, and I really thrive to have that impact. I do, however, miss, the engagement, still working with a team. So I do consult on the side, like how to think out of the box. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about strategic partnerships? That use case portfolio that I explained to you, that inspires me as well. It's a different touch point. So those two things, I just have to balance it, but those two things are the real things that do inspire me.
Cool. You're no stranger to pivoting and reinventing yourself. You made some pretty big moves recently. Is that right?
Yes, you as well. So after 15 years at the NFL, and I will say amazing, very meaningful 15 years with business school in between, where I made a big pivot, but I have decided to go out on my own. It was really listening to that inner voice and change, and something that was leading my next purpose. And that's inspiring others on how to embrace innovation, inspire change, but also lead with purpose. And so I'm very excited about it. It's that self-trust. It's a new and different playbook, but I'm inspired about the challenge as well.
I love it. And I would just say this, not that you needed to hear this from me, but what has made you super successful, first in lacrosse, then the NFL, and all the things that you've done, were not those specific arenas. They were you. And those traits are transferable to anything that you'd like to do.
You're hired twice on this call. Amazing. I do. I really appreciate you. That's very kind. And you too. I mean, I know you've made a major pivot from finance, and it takes, exactly like what I was talking about. It takes inner confidence, your own self-trust, but also the, perseverance and the resilience to take on the change.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you're open to sharing, is spirituality something that's important to you? And the reason why I ask is because to be able to leave something that's quote unquote really good to try something different that you feel very connected to with no guarantee requires a lot of certainty and a lot of trust. So I'm wondering, is spirituality something that's important to you?
Very much so. Having lost my mother at 19, I hope and I feel I've been blessed with an amazing pool of family, friends, but mentorships around me, where I could, leverage, truly like leverage them to instill change and move on. Yeah. So
Beautiful. Is there something that you do have like a daily practice, or something that you do to continuously grow that connection?
yeah. So with that emerging, I'd say, ecosystem, I have gotten very into Bikram yoga, and I will tell you the benefit with spirituality and Bikram yoga is it stops, you pause, and you have to calm yourself and calm your brain. I was always doing a to-do list. I'm more centered now than I've ever been to do that. So that's one version of spirituality. Another one is, I don't know if you've heard of the Hoffman Institute. I did go to Hoffman when I was deciding between this big change in my life and my career. And that is the spirituality of going to behaviors that you have inherited from your childhood and from your life and how to release those. That's why I put a pause, like, do I go into this or do I not? But I'm more than happy to share. But a friend of mine in that ecosystem, my own, community, a friend of mine, Tanya, had recommended that I go there because there are big decisions. And I went, I went to my heart, I went to my soul. And when I came out of that, I said, wow, I really am inspired me for change. And so that, as well as many other practices, are very important. Still from Hoffman in the morning, I do write down, not what I'm going to do, how I feel, get in tune with myself, which is a common practice. Many times I can go to a to-do list rather than how do you feel? And I do feel when you can connect in that empathy for oneself, that's what you also play forward in authentic connections when you're building teams, when you're building relationships, when you show up in a way. It's more holistic. And I do feel many people that I've met, Craig, that have made a major pivot in their lives and their careers are spiritual. They've had a reset. That's what's, like really what is in tune and internal, that building that confidence and getting their own inspiration to then make that pivot and move. So yes, I'm very spiritual in multiple different ways, but I will say huge promotion for Hoffman. That was a game changer for me, really making a pivot, because most would say, wow, like look at her, she's on stage at the NFL and Reinvent, and you're thriving. But there was just something that I was ready for a change, and was that right for me?
I love it so much. Thank you for sharing that. And one of the things,
for the pause there, I was like, am I going to go into Hoffman? But I'm more than happy to share.
I'm so glad that you did. I'm so glad that you did. And I think everybody should find their thing on how to connect a little bit deeper. And the way that you were just describing it reminds me of operating a little bit less from your head and a little bit more from your heart.
Yeah. And I think that in today's society, I was just at a healthcare event here in New York City yesterday. And, us as a society, we are speaking more authentically about what's happened to us, sharing feelings. I mean, when I was a keynote at a Ignite Healthcare, and they were talking about some, women's health issues that have never been discussed. And now when you have these advocates that are speaking and are, on, let's say, like the movie star stage, Craig, it opens people up that it's okay to share it, it's okay to feel. And I do feel like in our society, we're still going through a big transformation that way, where even you see in movies, like the hard conversations, the hard feeling, the hard experiences are being shared more and more, allowing other people to share their experiences and feel free. Like, look, going to Hoffman it was like such an inspiration for me, but it really did change my life because I stopped and I took care of myself, and I'm okay to share that. Many people wouldn't share that. But I do feel that, and interesting to hear your thoughts, I do really feel that we're in that societal transition of being more open and honest with challenges and trauma. And I do think that those personal experiences are what inspire change and growth.
Yeah. So the wisdom of Kabbalah is something that I've really gravitated towards over the last couple of years, and it's changed my life in many different ways. And whether it's Kabbalah or Hoffman or whatever your thing is, something that helps you become a little bit more intentional, purposeful. I think if you want to go higher, you got to go deeper. and spiritual work helps you create more of a connection.
Yeah.
For anybody out there that wants to go to their next level, whatever that is for you, I would invite you and encourage you to go deeper and to pay attention, get curious about those tugs at the soul.
I agree. It's amazing to me. You have to, it's like peeling an onion, open people up a little bit because they fear to go deeper. They fear to stop for what's there. And when you unleash that, there's a freedom to it that is even more, as you're saying, solid and freeing to your soul, that I think it offers the best opportunities for oneself, but then in life. So I'm with you. I hope that we get more, more in that leadership sort of spiritual philosophy as well.
Just real quickly before we land the plane, when did you start that path? Like, when did you go there and start exploring that? How long ago?
So that was, oh boy. So I left I left the NFL right before the start of this year's season.
Recently.
Yeah. So this is all very recent. I did take,
Beautiful.
a few months off. Unfortunately, I lost my father, so it was a bit more downtime.
Yeah.
But I was glad to have that time, number one, with him, but then also to heal. So somehow spiritually, it just happened and unfolded in beautiful ways. But I'm really, but it's all been very new just in months. It's the first Super Bowl, Craig, I haven't gone to in 15 years.
I imagine that was bittersweet.
It was a nice experience to be at home, though, watching it with a dear friend of mine who are diehard Eagles fans, and thank goodness they won. That would have not been pretty. But it's just what an amazing experience to go there for years, and one of the best experiences was having my nieces, my nephews, my family, my friends enjoy that with me. It's so special. So it was a bit bittersweet, but many people had reached out from the NFL, like, we miss you. And that was just, it soothed me.
I just want to say you're so brave and courageous. And I love the journey that you're on right now. I can only imagine the transformations to ensue. So it's beautiful to watch, and thank you so much for sharing a lot of the stuff that you did today. I know they're pretty deep stuff.
Thank you.
Let's have a little fun, a little rapid fire, maybe 1 or 2 word answers, 30 seconds, and let's go deep. You ready for me?
I'm a little nervous. God, what is he coming with? But it's okay.
We'll start it off easy and ease our way in.
Okay.
What's your favorite book, or maybe one that's made an impact on you?
I just recently read The Tell. It is a friend of mine from the University of Virginia who, really had inner findings and wisdom that changed her life. Unfortunately, she was a victim of abuse when she was young, and she spent her whole life thriving and running from it. And, during the pandemic, when she slowed down, it was the coming to. So one, it was fascinating because I know her, and you see people from, it's like arm's length and from a distance now from like social media, but her ability, one, the story that she wrote about her experience was so heartfelt. And the impact that it had for me was exactly what we were talking. Like, it empowered me to share more of my story, because you can impact and free others. And so she had done that. So huge credit to Amy Griffin, and the book is The Tell. But I read it in one night sitting. Wow. And when I woke up, I thought, like, okay, it's all about like, what's the secret? Everybody has a secret and you hold it in. But brilliantly written about how she discovered it, but then what she had done about it. And connecting back to, most important, her relationships and her families with oneself, but then with the others. But it's just very well done, and I commend her. So that's why I read it in a night. So I would encourage everybody, if you can pick it up, it's in bookstores now.
Did you read it or did you listen to it?
No, I read it.
Wow, it's impressive.
Yeah, I read it. It was different when you know somebody. I didn't want to miss anything. There's a lot of books that you can fly through, Craig, and you can put it on the, on the Audible. You're on like 2x, but this was worth the read.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Your favorite workout?
Bikram yoga.
Bikram yoga. I tried it once, like, years ago, and I almost passed out. So hot.
It's something that you get, accustomed to.
I'm sure you can get better and improve. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a continuous growth and cycle for improvement.
Yeah, love it. Okay. Your favorite movie?
Favorite movie had always been Sabrina. It's like the old and the new, but the story of just being inspired by inspiration and a young girl that, falls in love and comes from nothing. And it's like her genuine side and genuine soul shines through. But I always loved Sabrina.
Is that with Harrison Ford?
No, he was not in it.
No.
And there's two versions of it. Yeah. So the last one was Julian Orland, I believe her name was.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story.
Cool. Okay.
That wasn't bad as questioning, Craig.
We're not done yet. I have two more. Your favorite guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. Sugar.
Nice.
Sugar. I try fruits, but I do like my chocolate. I do like my ice cream. But yeah, it would be sugar.
Okay.
I have a sweet tooth.
Same. I like chocolate. Okay. And your favorite morning ritual essential?
Love that question. I was big on morning routines and rituals. One, I always have coffee in the morning. It calms me. And it's changed over time. So I used to get out and go to Bikram yoga, and that settled me when I was here in the city. Now, as a new entrepreneur and on my own, there's a Hoffman stillness where you pay attention to how you feel and what yourself. So that's become a morning ritual for me. I don't do it every day, but when I do, it grounds me.
I love it.
So if I'm in the city, I don't have enough time, but it's change, with time, your needs change. And so I never forget them. I always have my coffee. I love my stimulant and that calm, but doing that Hoffman exercise is, it's like my inner compass.
Got it. The coffee for me is a big one too. And it's not even so much a stimulant as it is like, there's just something beautiful and spiritual about a morning cup of coffee. Isn't there?
There is. Yes. I can't believe that people have soda and that sugar, but
Oh boy.
What is yours in addition to coffee?
So every day when I wake up, the first thing I do is I have a cup of coffee and I tune into something inspirational to just kind of like elevate for the moment, for the day, whether that's on TV or I read or maybe a pod, just something for like 15 minutes while I'm having a little cup of coffee. And then I begin to attack, and I'll always work out after that. My morning routine's pretty extensive. It's 2 hours. I wake up extra early just to fit it in because it's so important to me, because all day I'm like, pouring out and pouring into people that I really want to charge up and get my batteries to 100. So
are you a 5 a.m.er? You in the 5 a.m.er club?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah. And again, mine has changed. I used to probably do more of what you were doing, getting my workout in, going back, scouring the papers.
Yeah.
And I always tried to walk to work to calm me before you got in, and it was the intensity because you were packed. And I'm sure that's what it was like in finance. Now, if I'm out east, I wake up, I have my coffee, I like scour, I do my spiritual practice, and I can go on a long walk on the beach with my dog. And I have a walking partner in the morning, and it is brilliant. She is of high intellect, and it's just we bounce things off of each other. And then if I'm reading, Greg, I can go back and revisit articles. Like I'd have to tag things when I was working.
Yeah.
Because it was like everything was a Cliff Note version.
Yeah. Just to be clear, you said dog, right?
Yes, I have a dog.
What kind?
Chocolate Labradoodle. Her name is Ella Fitzgerald. She's named after the singer. I say that she's chocolate with soul but doesn't sing, and she is lovely.
So I have a killer Shih Tzu. He's not really a killer. He's a Shih Tzu poodle, more like a poodle. He's my best friend. His name is Whiskey, and it's just the best ever.
It is.
The dogs, if you know, you know, and I totally understand.
Yes.
It's impossible to spend some time with your dog and feel sad. Like it's the best. A lot of work, but worth it.
Yeah. How old is your dog?
2.
Okay, so still a baby. Mine is 4, and so has been through this transition with me, and now I get to spend so much more time with her.
Yeah,
which is really sweet.
You both are lucky.
Thank you.
This was amazing. I can't wait to do so many more things for you. Hang up for 1 second. I'm going to connect you after. Thank you so much for stopping by today, Jennifer, and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for that wonderful introduction, as well as your brilliant questioning. I really did enjoy it. You're a talent yourself.
My pleasure.